This is TWiT.
Here comes WWDC, June 3rd. I'm excited. I'm sure, Rich, do you go to this every year? Is it important for you to go?
I don't go every year. It is of varying importance. There will be some years that I will just go. This year is not one of them, unfortunately, but that's okay.
Is it because you can learn everything online? I mean, Apple pretty much puts all the talks online eventually and stuff like that, right?
Well, it's certainly handy that the most of the sessions go up online not long after the conference. The thing that I always miss is what's called the hallway track,
right?
Where you sort of randomly meet up with people. I miss the labs. But it's a decision that I have to consider pretty carefully every year. It's a week of work. In fact, it sort of stretches longer because of travel time and recovery.
And not to mention the expense.
Not to mention the expense. But I think it's a great event. And if you signed up and won the lottery, then more power to you. Go enjoy, get something out of it.
Do you look at what the new things they're going to be talking about are and judge it based on that? Like, do I need to know about marzipan? Well, if I do, I'm going to go. If I don't, I don't go.
I try not to. The rumors are the rumors, and of course, they're of varying reliability and accuracy, and we won't really know how accurate they were until the actual event. It's more for me a matter of, can I spare the time and expense to go? I don't usually think too much about what they might or might not be announcing because they're going to do what they're going to do, whether they're not.
Yeah, you can't judge. It does look like, based on 9 to 5 Mac's rundown, and this is Guillermo Rambo.
Oh, Leo, before you start that, can I just say that when you show up at WW and you see Rich and Hockenberry in the front row, you know it's going to be an exciting keynote.
Yeah. In the front row is an important seat. And that was last year,
or
right?
At least very loud.
that was last year. This year it looks like a lot of iOS stuff. Maybe that's just 9 to 5 Mac's bias, but they're talking about new Siri intense marzipan improvements, augmented reality, Taptic Engine, NFC. All of this is iOS stuff.
I think they're doing them separately. They seem to be releasing, trickling it out to us over the last couple. Like every day you get a new little bite.
Yeah. Will there be, Mac OS is pretty mature. I don't know.
They had, I think a couple days ago, it was Siri shortcuts for Mac, and there was
screen time.
3 or 4. Yeah, screen time.
And Marzipan is, I guess, a Mac technology. It's bringing iOS apps to Mac. So
no, it's once again. Next time, I'm more curious when they talk about new Mac apps as opposed to, hey, this thing from iOS, we're bringing it to the Mac, and that counts as a new Mac feature. We haven't totally abandoned it.
Yeah,
no,
but shortcuts coming to the Mac is a good thing.
That's a very good thing. Yes.
Yeah. Although
I think it's going to be interesting to see, because if you just follow Steve Troughton-Smith, his excitement level over UIKit on the Mac and not only what it's going to enable for developers who are, because there's so many iOS developers, for them getting into the Mac market, but sort of how it's going to force a level of maturity in some of the technologies like split view and some parity between things like dark modes, and Apple's own apps don't have feature parity right now, and sort of the discipline that might invest. I think there is a certain level of excitement around it.
Yeah. I just remember a day when we didn't celebrate the fact that the Mac has the same features as an iOS device, and we didn't necessarily, as a Mac user, I didn't necessarily celebrate that my iPad was getting the same features as my Mac. I used to celebrate that there is a really wonderful new discovery feature for Wi-Fi in the Mac. I want to see the same enthusiasm for the Mac from Apple.
You're kind of speaking to an older time, though. The iPhone is the most popular thing, and you have to kind of consider the fact that Apple has definitely, hit that mark with the iPhone, and now they're bringing people into the fold with Mac. They're saying, now that you have an iPhone, wouldn't you love to have a Mac that works with your iPhone so you can do all these great things with it? So I think the idea that they're not merging the two. They're not making iOS the new platform for Mac. But I think the ability to merge the two to make a more seamless user experience is a really good thing. Especially if you come from iPhone first, which there are a lot of people that I've met that that do that. They were on iOS, they were on an iPhone for years, and they finally bit the bullet and went and got a Mac computer, a laptop usually. And if your user experience is as familiar to you as it is on iOS, then that's good for you. You appreciate it and you enjoy it more. And I think having these apps that kind of use that marzipan idea of bringing them together and in a more uniform way is a benefit to a lot of people. And I get that, you know, that there's the old schoolers who, you know, I want it like it used to be, but it's not. And I think like bringing new people into the Mac sphere is a good thing, and it's not harming the Mac OS operating system to have a more seamless user interface between the two devices.
Yeah, I have to say that my disappointment is not that the Mac isn't like it used to be. My disappointment is that it's exactly like it used to be. It's like it used to be for the past 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years almost. That the innovation that I'm seeing in pretty much every other operating system that's designed to be used with a keyboard and a trackpad, I'm not seeing that same movement in the Mac. It's the least exciting desktop in my office today is probably my Mac. I love my Mac the most, but really even my Raspberry Pi is more interesting in so many ways than the Mac desktop is. I really would like to see some sign from Apple that they really do care about it. That I know that there are people who are big fans of the Mac at Apple. I know there are people who work very hard on it and who innovate as much as they possibly can. But I just don't see from the other side of the keynote screen, you know, in the audience, looking at what they choose to present and what they choose to actually ship. I'm not seeing any level of corporate interest in continuing the Mac. I think you're spot on. I think that Apple does think that the Mac is our passion is in iOS devices. However, we have a tradition in desktops. We're not going to let that die because that's like giving away free money. But we feel that it's most useful as a platform for people to develop things for iOS on, or as a alternative to Windows notebooks and Chromebooks for people who own iPads and iPhones. I just don't see them I don't see them ever doing an ad that says, here is a Macintosh, boom. Here is a competing Windows device, boom. Look how much better the Mac is than this other thing. I just don't see them ever taking that as a point of pride anymore. And I just don't know how that's going to feed. I don't know how not making the Mac better and better and better is going to make better consumer Macs, because you start off making high performance, you know, rockets, and then 2 or 3 years later you figure out how to scale that down for actual users. They're just not developing the really, really good juicy bits that we really, really need to keep the Mac as a viable thing.